Everyone's watching Bitcoin ETF inflows. Everyone's chasing meme coins and ETH narratives. But under the radar, Stellar is undergoing a tectonic shift, and no one's talking about it. XLM is not just surviving in this market. It's positioning itself as the financial backbone of a tokenized world. Right now, Stellar's ecosystem is exploding. Smart contracts are live. Institutions are integrating. Developers are building. Real-world finance is finally colliding with blockchain, and Stellar is at the dead center. If you hold XLM, you're about to understand why this might be your last chance to accumulate before the rest of the market wakes up. But before we break this all down, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're serious about future-proofing your wealth in crypto. This channel is for those who want to be early, not...
Don't forget to support the video with a like, because it supports us a lot and helps us reach other people and help them learn important information.
Not exit liquidity. Now let's get into it. When you hear institutional crypto adoption, most people automatically think XRP. Ripple has been the poster child for bridging banks and blockchain. But here's the twist. While XRP was fighting court battles and dominating headlines, Stellar was quietly winning the real war, embedding itself directly into the plumbing of financial systems across the globe. We're not talking about hypotheticals or test nets. We're talking about live integrations with real governments, central banks, and cross-border payment giants. And the strategy? Pure genius. Stellar isn't just targeting the US or Europe. It's going where traditional finance has failed, setting up base in the exact markets where blockchain can immediately solve billion-dollar problems. Let's break this all down because the scale of what Stellar is pulling off is massive, and most people don't even realize it's happening. Palau's US dollar-backed stablecoin, a sovereign CBDC on Stellar. Forget speculative DeFi coins. The Republic of Palau, a sovereign Pacific island nation, launched the Palau stablecoin, PSC, directly on the Stellar blockchain. This is monumental. Why? Because this isn't some fintech experiment or private company issuing a token. This is a sovereign government issuing a dollar-backed stablecoin with full regulatory oversight on Stellar. That's essentially a CBDC, deployed not by a central bank using clunky legacy rails, but by leveraging blockchain-native programmability. And why Stellar? Speed, 5-second settlements. Cost, fraction of a cent in fees. Compliance, built for regulated assets from day one. Control, Palau retains full control over issuance, redemption, and monitoring. Now here's where it gets interesting. Palau isn't just a random island. There's a pilot program for what could become a template for global microeconomies. Think Bahamas, Seychelles, Vanuatu, even Caribbean banking hubs. Any nation trying to digitize its currency without becoming enslaved to a foreign tech stack. Palau is the first domino. If Stellar succeeds there, expect a cascade of sovereign stablecoins built on the same rails, each one pushing XLM further into the bloodstream of international finance. MoneyGram's partnership. The physical world meets blockchain. Now let's talk about what might be the most underrated power move in crypto history. MoneyGram plus Stellar. Yes, that MoneyGram, the one with 300,000 plus physical agent locations in over 200 countries. This is where things get wild. Through this integration, anyone in the world can walk into a MoneyGram office, hand over cash, and walk out with USDC or XLM in their digital wallet. No bank account, no credit card, just cash to crypto instantly. And it works in reverse too. Want to cash out your USDC into local currency? Walk into a MoneyGram, show your phone, and walk out with fiat. This is a game changer for unbanked populations who've been locked out of the digital economy. Migrant workers sending remittances home without 10% fees. Crypto users in emerging markets who need liquidity in both directions. And all of this is powered by Stellar. Let that sink in. The on/off-ramp problem, one of the biggest bottlenecks in crypto, is being obliterated by Stellar's partnership with a legacy money transfer titan. And here's the long-term effect. Every new user on board through MoneyGram brings liquidity to Stellar's ecosystem. Every transfer strengthens the network, and every transaction creates volume for XLM, Flutterwave, Novati, and the African superhighway. Now let's zoom in on Africa, a continent with 1.4 billion people, a trillion-dollar remittance economy, and some of the world's worst financial infrastructure. This is where Stellar goes from interesting to revolutionary. Stellar has formed deep partnerships with Flutterwave, one of the biggest African fintechs, processing billions in transactions yearly. Novati Group, a digital payments powerhouse in Australia and Southeast Asia, helping bridge the gap between fiat and digital currencies. Together, they're enabling instant, ultra-low fee payments across Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, and beyond. We're talking real-time USDC or XLM payouts, with transaction costs as low as $0.001. Let's make this real. A Nigerian freelancer gets paid from a client in the UK, directly into a Stellar wallet, instantly convertible to Naira via Flutterwave. A Ghanaian merchant sends stablecoins to a Chinese supplier without touching a bank or incurring $50 plus wire fees. These aren't test pilots. This is live right now. And here's why this matters. The majority of the world's financial pain points exist in these regions. If Stellar becomes the default bridge between dollars and local currencies, it won't just be relevant. It will be indispensable. This is how Stellar wins without competing head-to-head with Ethereum or XRP in Western markets. It's building the crypto equivalent of a financial superhighway in places where the roads don't even exist yet. Tokenized liquidity web. Every on-ramp is a node. Zoom out for a second. What happens when Palau issues a sovereign stablecoin on Stellar? MoneyGram enables global cash-to-crypto conversions on Stellar. Flutterwave unlocks crypto fiat liquidity across Africa via Stellar. And Novati connects Asia-Pacific corridors into the mix. You get a borderless, compliant, low-cost, tokenized liquidity network, all running on Stellar. And here's the kicker. This web doesn't just move money. It enables real-world asset tokenization. Tokenized invoices, Palago Labs, regulated securities, cross-border CBDCs, stablecoin remittances, programmatic trade finance. And all of it needs infrastructure. It needs compliance. It needs interoperability. It needs speed and finality. That's Stellar's exact design DNA. This isn't just institutional adoption. It's financial colonization by a blockchain. And XLM? It sits at the center of it all, the utility token that greases the rails between cash, stablecoins, and tokenized assets. Bottom line, XRP might have the spotlight, but Stellar has the infrastructure. And infrastructure always wins in the long game. Every new partnership, every cash-in, every off-ramp, every remittance corridor, every tokenized asset is another node in Stellar's growing financial nervous system. The market's ignoring it, but the institutions aren't. And if you hold XLM now, you're not just betting on a coin. You're betting on the underlying operating system of future money. Soroban's smart contracts. XLM's secret weapon goes live. You've probably heard the phrase, XLM doesn't have smart contracts. That's now ancient history. Soroban is here, and it changes everything. Soroban is Stellar's smart contract platform, built from scratch in Rust for speed, security, and simplicity. It's not a clone of Ethereum. It's not a fork. It's an entirely new paradigm designed specifically for financial use cases. Let's unpack what makes it so powerful. Compliance first by design. Ethereum's smart contracts are great for open finance, but institutions? They need compliance tooling baked into the protocol. Soroban allows for fine-grained access control, native asset compliance filters, and regulated token issuance, right out of the box. This is why governments and banks are actually willing to build on Stellar. Low fees, predictable gas. With Soroban, developers don't have to guess what gas will cost tomorrow. Unlike Ethereum, where a surge in demand can 10x fees overnight, Soroban is predictable and low-cost, with fees often under 1 cent. This means real businesses can actually run apps profitably without passing fees to users. Real use cases going live. Let's talk real examples. Palago is building decentralized trade finance protocols on Soroban, targeting a $5 trillion market. Lightmint is creating NFT marketplaces and DeFi primitives that integrate with existing Stellar wallets. Tokenized equity pilots in the Caribbean and Pacific Islands are exploring Soraban-based issuance models. In other words, Soraban is not theoretical. It's already being used to bring real-world finance onto Stellar. And we're only scratching the surface. This is Ethereum 2015 all over again, but with better tech and real-world demand already built in. Real-world utility is booming, Palago, MoneyGram, and on off-ramps. Let's zoom in on the actual usage metrics that prove Stellar's moment is happening now, not in some distant future. Daily active accounts are surging. According to Stellar Development Foundation reports, the number of daily active accounts has more than doubled year over year. In Q2 alone, Stellar processed over 1.3 billion operations, with a significant portion linked to real financial flows. This isn't hype-driven traffic. These are real people, real remittances, and real transactions happening globally. Fiat on off-ramps in over 180 countries. With Stellar-powered USDC now live in over 180 countries. The ability to convert local currency to stablecoins via local agents is creating a seamless bridge from cash to crypto. This is why Stellar's footprint is expanding in regions where crypto penetration was once impossible: Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. Trade finance via Palago Labs. Palago is perhaps Stellar's most revolutionary use case to date. It's targeting the $5 trillion trade finance gap, the pain point where small and medium businesses can't access short-term funding to fulfill orders. With Soraban, Palago enables programmable trade finance agreements, tokenized invoices, and real-time capital deployment using stablecoins and XLM as liquidity rails. This is no longer about speculation. This is Stellar actively replacing the broken pipes of global finance. Let's cut through the noise and get brutally honest. Back in 2012, Bitcoin was clunky. It was misunderstood. Most people thought it was some shady internet money used on Silk Road. The media laughed. Wall Street ignored it. And the few people who did understand it, they were quietly loading their bags at $5 to $20 a coin, while the rest of the world scrolled past. Fast forward to today. Bitcoin is now the bedrock of $1 trillion asset class, and that same joke is now digital gold. Why does that matter? Because what's happening with Stellar right now feels eerily, unmistakably familiar. We're watching history rhyming in real time. XLM's price is still suppressed. XLM is trading under 10 cents. That's lower than its 2017 highs. That's lower than most retail's attention span. And yet, under the surface, Stellar is doing the very thing that made Bitcoin and Ethereum into powerhouses, building real infrastructure in silence, while the market is distracted by shiny objects. We've seen this movie before. In 2015, Ethereum was a ghost town. ICOs hadn't exploded yet. It was seen as a developer curiosity. Ether was worth literal pennies. In 2020, Solana was dismissed as vaporware, a VC chain. No traction. Then it onboarded actual consumer dApps, games, and DePIN protocols, and it never looked back. And now, in 2025, XLM is in that same pre-hype phase. Except unlike ETH or SOL back then, Stellar already has sovereign nations, compliant stablecoins, global remittance rails, and enterprise-grade smart contracts going live. Infrastructure is going live, not just talked about. You know what separates Stellar from 99% of next-gen projects? Everything is live. Right now. This isn't a white paper dream. This isn't coming Q4 marketing fluff. This is a real government-issued stablecoin in Palau. 300,000 plus physical cash-in/out locations via MoneyGram. A regulated global network of on/off-ramps in 180-plus countries. Soraban smart contracts already deployed by real businesses. DeFi, NFT, and tokenized trade finance projects onboarding on-chain. And still, the price sits under a dime. That disconnect? That's called asymmetry. When price is low but adoption is real, that's not just undervalued. That's criminally mispriced. The foundations for mass adoption are already built. Let's compare. Ethereum didn't see major inflows until after DeFi summer in 2020. Solana didn't go vertical until after dApps showed user traction and USDC started flowing through it. But Stellar already has institutional-grade stablecoins flowing through its veins, already has smart contract infrastructure tailored for compliance, not chaos, already has cross-border fiat ramps in cash-heavy regions that Ethereum and Solana can't even touch. This isn't just a bet on crypto. It's a bet on tokenized money replacing traditional pipes, and Stellar is already connected to those pipes. We're watching an adoption curve that's 90% complete at the back end, but only 10% priced in at the front end. That's rare. That's powerful. That's opportunity. Most investors miss the quiet before the boom. Here's what no one tells you. The best investments don't scream. They whisper. When Bitcoin was screaming at $60,000, everyone wanted in. But the ones who won, they were listening to the whispers at $10. When Ethereum was plastered all over DeFi headlines in 2021, it was already up 100x. But back in 2017, it was whispering beneath $10, building the future. Right now, XLM is whispering. And if you're watching this video, you're hearing what 99% of the market is deaf to. Because what Stellar is doing is so boring, it's revolutionary. Building cash-to-crypto rails in rural towns. Partnering with banks and governments instead of launching meme tokens. Solving trillion-dollar remittance problems instead of hyping artificial narratives. And that's why the next bull wave won't be driven by speculation. It'll be powered by real usage. Stellar is already there. Smart investors know. This is the accumulation zone. If this were a chart, Stellar would be in the disbelief and boredom phase. Retail isn't looking. Crypto Twitter isn't hyping it. Analysts aren't forecasting it. Perfect. That's where 100x plays are born, not in euphoria, but in neglect. Right now, you can still pick up XLM at bear market prices with bull market fundamentals. That gap will close, because as institutional flows continue to ramp up, as Sorobon smart contracts attract real developers, as global fiat bridges deepen, XLM will shift from ignored infrastructure to headline asset, just like Bitcoin did, just like Ethereum did, just like Solana did. Only this time you've got the blueprint early. The takeaway: this is Stellar's Bitcoin 2012 moment. Bitcoin 2012, clunky, cheap, building in silence. XLM 2025, quiet, compliant, embedding into real finance. Bitcoin 2012 was about digital gold. XLM 2025 is about digital money that actually moves. And the irony? Everyone who missed BTC at $20 or ETH at $8 is now ignoring Stellar under 10 cents, even while governments and money transmitters are already using it. Let them sleep, because the biggest wealth transfers happen when the infrastructure becomes obvious too late. And if you're here now, you're not just early. You're in the phase before the crowd even realizes what Stellar is building. So stack wisely. If you hold XLM, prepare for the shockwave. The biggest moment for Stellar XLM isn't coming. It's already here, and 99% of the market is asleep. The smart money is quietly accumulating. The builders are already deploying. The institutions are integrating. And the price? Still lagging for now. But like all things in crypto, that won't last long. Here's what you need to understand. Stellar is becoming the compliant layer of real-world finance. Sorobon is the technical breakthrough that finally brings utility at scale. The rails for global onboarding and liquidity are already in place. And if you're here early, you're not just holding a token. You're holding a piece of future financial infrastructure. Subscribe right now if you want to stay ahead of the curve. Because on this channel, we don't chase hype, we front-run revolutions. And remember, in this market, quiet moves precede loud explosions. XLM's explosion? It's coming.